hopping and a singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, 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 rockin' robin, tweet, tweet,
Welcome to Life is Good. I'm Heather McKeown, your ever-loving hostess, and guess who I have on today? Somebody who has made my life in Newport very enjoyable. Someone who lifted me from the depths of despair when I had to leave my beloved job at JetBlue thanks to COVID, which had killed 8 of my friends in the first several weeks before the vaccine at JetBlue. So what can I say? When I was really sad, bailing up my boat on the wharf in Newport, I approached Rick Desrochers, who was director of the Northern Star, and he hired me before we even went out with any passengers, and just made the transition to Newport fabulous for me. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
And you're still continuing to do it. I just saw you give a talk to Felicia Updike up at Eden Eden on Main Street in Newport. And you were telling her all the things that you see as visions for Newport, and you depict them on your calendars.
I do. I care about community. I care about the Northeast Kingdom, and I want to see good things, not only for Newport, for Derby, for St. Johnsbury, Lindenville. So that's kind of why I started my calendars 9 years ago.
I know.
It's crazy to think back on it. 9 years of doing calendars and putting smiles on people's faces.
And I send them all over the country, and everybody wants to live here because of Rick's calendars. We no longer have Vermont Life magazine.
So and that's a big part of what happened. I saw that Vermont Life calendars were not going to, along with the magazine, was not going to be put into service anymore for customers.
Heartbreaking.
It was devastating, and I was working in Stowe then, and people were like, "We love your photos. Why don't you?" I was working for Jed's Maple then, and then I worked in Stowe, but it was really interesting. And they're like, "Your pictures tell the stories," and so I tried to get it as many out there as possible.
And they're all printed here.
They are all printed in the Northeast Kingdom. It cost me more to produce, but the quality of my photos, I have more kind of hands-on with what I want in a calendar.
And you keep the money here in this
I
area?
do. Yesterday I was at a conference at Burke Mountain, put on by the NEK Collaborative, and that's what we talked about: neighbor helping neighbor. I donate some calendars to different organizations and schools to help out with their stuff. So I try to give back as much as I can to the community, and also want to share the beauty of the Northeast Kingdom. To the folks coming here or that haven't been here yet. So yeah.
And if they are sent around the country, terrific. But if they're not, if they're hanging up in your kitchen, you're proud to live here. And your pictures, it's true. When you take a winter picture of a barn, I'm in that barn. I'm milking.
Yeah.
I'm throwing hay. I'm doing everything I love to do in that barn, in that picture, because I don't do it anymore except in my head.
Yeah.
And we need that. We need to be taken back to those nostalgic times. If
Well,
they've stopped.
That was why I take the photos that I do. Is when you think of Vermont, you think of covered bridges. So I always try to put a covered bridge in there, or a church in there, or an old barn in there. I always try to showcase that. Willoughby Lake. One of the most beautiful lakes anywhere in the world is here. So I try to showcase those along with others. Every year I try to do 2 calendars. This year I did a State of Vermont calendar, and I did my Northeast Kingdom calendar.
Which one sells the best?
This year it was the State of Vermont. People are loving that one. Last year I did a Northeast Kingdom calendar and a Lakes of the Northeast Kingdom calendar. Before that, I did an Old Barns of the Northeast Kingdom calendar, and
I must admit, when people look at my paintings, some of them say, "I've seen that somewhere," and I say, "Yeah, I copied it out of Rick's calendar."
yeah, I care about one. I grew up on a dairy farm just down the road in Newport Center, and it was a small dairy farm, and I see so many dairy farms closing.
Yeah.
You know,
They're
and
being
it's
bought
sad. It's just sad to see those small dairy farms. So my thing is capturing them, you know, throughout, whether I'm doing, you know, drone photography or I'm down shooting, you know, on my belly shooting, you know, a reflection because I'm into reflections.
I've actually seen you do that. When we were remember when you first introduced me, for the boat, we were going to have a van at the wharf that would take tourists from the wharf in Newport to different businesses, the Lavender Farm, Jed's Maple, the old Stone House, all of
Coventry
these
Falls Alpaca.
Coventry Falls Alpaca, and they would see other parts, not just Newport, but some of the businesses that are thriving here, and it would expand their horizons, plus it would be good for the businesses. So in order to do that ambassadorship, Rick said, "You've got to know these places," and I don't drive. You've seen me drive. You haven't seen me drive, you're very lucky. Anyway, he took me everywhere to introduce me to these places, and they're all in calendar form now.
Yeah.
And everywhere we went, Rick was welcomed with open arms because he has helped so many businesses around here by introducing them out in the boonies to people from away. And I mean, that was how I got to know the kingdom even more than I did before, because I mean, I grew up 10 miles from here, but on the Canadian side, so I didn't know all these back road places.
Willoughby Falls. Remember Willoughby
that
Falls
was
during
so pretty.
during the fall time, because I took you around to a lot of these places during the fall time. So, and I've taken others. Had a couple move from New Jersey here last year, and they're like, "What's in the Northeast Kingdom?" And I'm like, "Have you been to Willoughby Lake?" And then I took them in Darling Hill in Lyndonville and showed them, you know, Island Pond, gave them the experience of the Northeast Kingdom, because I think it's important for folks that are coming here, not only to meet the people that are living and working and playing in the Northeast Kingdom, but to show them the absolute beauty that we have in the Northeast Kingdom.
Yeah, and they won't take the back roads sometimes. They don't know what they are.
No.
And what my daughter and her beloved like to do is just go to the back roads all over Franklin County. And she comes back to me with the same stories that I would come back to my parents with when I was doing that as a teenager, you know? It's like they're still here, but everybody's so busy, everybody's so fast moving that to just take a long ride through the backwoods or back roads, there's nothing like it. And if you can't, just buy a calendar.
Well, and I care about my calendars. I want them to tell the story of whether it's the state of Vermont or the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. Tell that story of what we have now and where we're going into the future.
What's your vision for the future? Because I know you have some pretty darn good ideas. Okay, it's going to be a half-hour show, so just sit back and enjoy this. The vision of the future with Rick Desrochers.
I care about Newport. I've always cared about Newport. People look at Newport from the past, and we had a great past growing up.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about the J.J. Newberry building, and my thing is making an area into a destination. You know, people are like, well, you know, they had big shops there. We don't need big shops. We need the little mom and pops to come in and believe in it and grab the folks' senses.
Yeah, keep it homey.
Well, keep the price down so that locals can afford it, because locals are your key to the community.
As you know.
It's great to get the tourist here, and we want them here. We want them to spend their money here, to see what we see every day. But we also need those locals to come and support small business and support what we're doing here. There's so many great people, but they don't have the time to go and volunteer because they're so busy working at their business. I look at the Northeast Kingdom and I look at the state of Vermont as like a big puzzle, and we just need to connect those pieces together to make it an amazing place to be.
Well, I'll tell you something. If you take a ride down the road towards Island Pond and you go past, you get to Charleston and then West Charleston, East Charleston, they're so disconnected even as that town. And I lived in East Berkshire on the other side of the mountain, which is Franklin County.
Yeah.
There was East Berkshire, West Berkshire, and Berkshire Center. And we all connected in Enosburg because we would all meet at the Hannaford in Enosburg and everything. But we did feel more community. It was a smaller population, multiple generations. And here the smaller population is true in each of those places and multiple generations. But I don't know them all out there. It's so spread out. It's so big.
Rural areas will always have a hard time. One of our biggest issues that we have, my full-time job is working at Northeast Kingdom Learning Services, and one of their hardest parts is transportation. Getting these folks to come in, for adult learning, and it is sad to see. We had one young man that used to walk from Charleston to Newport, and then we bought him a bike so that he could ride his bike to here, and then another organization got him an electric bike so that he can get here faster. And getting people to believe not only in education but believe in each other. Yesterday I was at a conference at Burke Mountain again, and it was neighbor helping neighbor. What Glover's doing is absolutely amazing.
What are they doing?
Just neighbors connecting to neighbors to help out, whether it's elderly or young folks that are in need. After the flood, bad things happened to Vermont, and I totally understand that. But it brought the community closer together. Hardwick, when you go and see the devastation, throughout, and I've taken my drone up to see it, and
Barton,
and just these places throughout Vermont. What it did also was bring people closer together. Vermonters are stubborn, and when asked if they need help, they will, I've got it. Even if it's just to talk. We talked about it on our way here, how to volunteer for the boat, and I still talk with him every week. He's 89 years old now.
His name was Ken. His name is Ken. He lives in New York now, and I used to watch this little miracle happen on the wharf every day. Ken was a recent widower when he met Rick, and he was in the depths of despair, very low. And he'd come, and Rick would bring him onto the boat and show him around, and then let him talk. And Ken needed that so much. And I just watched these two together, and now Ken says that Rick saved his life just because of those conversations after losing his wife.
At yesterday's meeting, everything starts with a conversation and leads to another conversation. So know that there's people out there. My calendars are just a part of the bigger things that I want to do. Like I said, I care about the community. I also do marketing for Orleans County Restorative Justice, and what they're doing is amazing things.
I know.
And the volunteering that they're doing is absolutely stunning. There's so many great organizations out there. There's so many great people. Shop small. That's what if there's anything, shop small. Know that this little thing piece of jewelry or a book that somebody's written, you know, they put their heart and soul into it, and support them because one, it makes them feel good that they have a little income coming in, but also knowing that you care about their product. And it's just like with your massage, you doing massages and
40 years now.
Yeah, and you know, making people feel better.
I hope so. I hope so.
It's just having a conversation, you know, like we are in front of the fire today.
Doesn't
Is
that
having
feel
that
good?
conversation.
Can you feel the heat out of this fire?
I said to Heather that I wanted to have, when we were talking about putting this together, is, you know, that ambiance of that Vermont way of life, sitting close to the fire
Yeah.
on a cold winter's day. Yesterday we would have had snow here. Today it's a little melted and we see the leaves back here. So
And it's a great way for me to spend my birthday because
Yeah.
it is my birthday today, and I celebrate my birthday for a long time, not just one day. So there is still time to wish me happy birthday, no matter when you see this. But this is November 10th, and Thanksgiving's coming up, and Thanksgiving gives us all a reason to be thankful. I mean, for so many things, even though some things in our lives aren't perfect. If you can keep a picture of what means something to you in your head when things are tough, be it for me a farm scene or anything that is Vermonty. The smell can come through the picture of a crisp winter day when you're boiling in July, and I don't know. I
Or-
need that in my life.
or a sugar maker making
Oh.
maple syrup. I have in my calendar this year. I have the Goodwin's family maple sugar house on my calendar. Again, they've been in quite a few times. They had oxen, and so it's kind of bringing the past into
Are
it.
they in Brownington?
No, they're actually in St. Johnsbury.
Okay, the reason I said Brownington, I was thinking of moving that building with oxen
Yep.
for the
Yep.
Amish. And I've got that in National Geographic, not National Geographic, I've either got it in Vermont Life or Vermont Magazine, that entire story.
Yep.
And that was something else, eh?
Yep.
As you can see by my fancy schmancy, yet so far completely disheveled table, I'm having a dinner party tonight. I've got people coming from Montreal, I've got people coming from Montgomery, Jay, and I live here in Newport. I'm lucky because I live close to Eden on Main Street in Newport, Vermont, where not only can you get the best cider, it's locally made, and the people who work there are fabulous. So I live in a hobbit house, and the best thing ever is to have something that you can serve that matches your home. So, believe it or not, this is a Tolkien Lord of the Rings cider. It's called Treebeard, one of my favorite characters from those lovely stories. And I can't believe it. I never even thought anybody would ever make any kind of cider or anything else for that matter like this. Just for me. Just for you. Go on over to Eden on Main Street in Newport, Vermont. Try some of their ciders. They have tastings all week. And you won't be disappointed. I can't wait till my guests arrive. I think it's the first time they've ever noticed that I serve something appropriately at the right time, the right place, the right cider. Try it.
Also, today is not only your birthday, but I want to give a big shout out to the veterans out there. I do a ton of work, whether it's speaking about whether they're veterans or different organizations, the American Legion. They're doing a big Thanksgiving dinner, and I would recommend folks to go up to the Elks for that. The veterans do so many good things around here. Wounded Warriors Project.
Yeah.
The VFW are great people. American Legion, what they do. The Eagles organization. There's, again, so many organizations out here doing great things. And that's why I wanted to do a shout out for Veterans Day.
And I do too, because my dad was World War II.
Yeah, my grandfather was.
Royal
so-
Canadian Navy. And of all the stories I've written, the largest demographic I cover when I'm writing and interviewing are veterans, because in the last 20 years, the veterans of World War II have decided to tell their stories, and I used to bump into an awful lot of them. And my father, just before he died, maybe within months of his death, he sit beside me and said, "I've always told you and Alan the funny stories. I always kept it light. I just want you to know something before I die." And I said, "Oh yeah, Dad, what's that?" And he said, "War is hell." And then he told me 2 incidents that he saw in World War II as a Royal Canadian Navy sailor. And he said, "I didn't want you and Alan to know about that because I didn't want to frighten you, but he didn't want to go to his grave without us respecting his generation for seeing, doing, and winning against fascism, against tyranny, against autocracy, against everything they fought in World War II, that he wants us to maintain that open-mindedness and that love of country, whether it's Canada or the US, or both in my case, and be willing to fight for our Constitution, be willing to fight for the way of life we have, because our fathers and grandfathers did." So thank you.
Yeah, I wanted, again, I would recommend looking up for the VFW. They have information on Facebook, and the Eagles, they always have a breakfast thing, either one of them do. So look at these organizations, because they do a lot of good, and a lot of that good goes back into the community. So American Legion, again, like, there's so many great organizations out there.
Yeah.
I could rattle them off, and that would be another
you rattled
story.
a few off. I think that's a good start.
Yeah. So
And,
again,
it's funny because we don't. I remember on the boat. I hate to keep bringing it up, but that's a connection we have, is the boat. You would give free nights to the veterans. Do you remember that?
I do. So again, it's about community, and I went around to area banks and told them the story of what I was trying to do, and if they could sponsor for Memorial. It was actually during Memorial Day, and could sponsor the American Legion, the VFW, and the Eagles.
Those are great times on the boat too.
The area banks. I'm going to give a huge shout out to North Country Federal Credit Union, Community National Bank, and Sumsic Bank, because they stepped up. And it's about, again, they're about community.
Yep.
And were absolutely amazing. And I did a golf fundraiser this year.
For who?
For Northeast Kingdom Learning Services to fundraise for getting gas cards and things like that.
Gas cards for students who want to be students.
Right.
I did film a show. One of my first shows was with you, and I didn't work the camera correctly, so we did a great show. I just was behind the camera, which always makes it a better show when I'm behind the camera. But the camera wasn't turned on properly. I hadn't pressed one of the buttons, so none of it came out. So talk about Northeast Kingdom Learning Services. Now shout out about what you do.
I am in marketing and fund development, and we did a golf fundraiser. We've got another one coming up next year, 2024, and the area businesses, again, I care about the businesses here. I want to see great things happen. Mr. Clean, he was a big proponent of the boat, helped us get it back in shape and cleaned up. And he continues to do. There's so many different pick and shovel, Agway.
As long as you mention these people, we can buy your calendars.
Absolutely.
At Eden, the cider tasting place right on Main Street in Newport.
Yep.
Pick and Shovel.
Pick and Shovel, Agway, Vermont Pie and Pasta. I also have my work up there.
At
my
the Mayo,
artwork.
the Mayo Clinic on Bluff Road, which is my clinic.
And I have a couple more shops at Von Cloney. He's with them with the Eagles. I just put it into his store.
Okay.
So
They are beautiful. And Kelby is my wonderful editor who takes away a lot of my mistakes and corrects as much of my show as she possibly can. Thank you, Kelby. Don't edit this out, Kelby. You deserve a little pat on the back.
Yeah.
But Kelby will be putting in pictures of Rick's calendar following this show. It's a montage of all the pictures. And they'll be done in such a way that you'll have time to really focus on them and see how beautiful they are. And wouldn't you love that, to be hanging on your kitchen wall or on your fridge or in somebody's Christmas stocking? And,
or in a business.
Yeah. And a lot of the profit is given back to the community, which Rick doesn't like to brag about, but it's true. So what can I say? When you're helping Rick, you're helping the community. So I really applaud you.
Well, thank you. Again, like that's why I've done it, for so many years, is capturing the Northeast Kingdom for its beauty, and showing off the state of Vermont.
Yeah. When are you
And
going to have a centerfold?
never.
I would not be asked to do that, by the way. But a centerfold, it's always good for a sailor to get the firemen in there.
Yeah. So yeah, I've had a great time doing this. I want to give a shout out to everybody that has purchased my calendars over the years.
Yeah.
Without them, I wouldn't be doing this year after year. They've been around the world. I've got some going to Alaska. I've got, some that have gone overseas. So it's just cool to see my calendars going all over.
Yeah, it would be
the
nice
place.
if you had a mailing list of people who subscribe to them every year, because I know whenever I've lived away from the Northeast, 3 years in Chicago, 5 years in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I pined. I had a broken heart because I couldn't have the change of seasons the way I was used to having them. And there was no country that I couldn't respond to anything in either of those places like I do here. It didn't resonate. The people were great, but I missed something. So we'd get Vermont Life, and I would go through that Vermont Life every time it came to the door. And, it just kept feeding me and the desire to come home.
That's one of the reasons I started doing it and build, my clientele from there.
Yeah.
I keep it small.
Well, they're only 12 months in a year.
I keep it word of mouth.
Yep.
Goes a long way, and people are like, wow, have you seen Rick's calendar? Where can I pick them up? So
Pick and shovel.
Pick and Shovel area businesses, or they can reach out to me. I'm working on my new webpage. It's called vtdreams.com. You can just message me there, and I will mail them out. Next year will be my 10th year, and I'm really excited about that because I'm going to change it up a bit. I'm going to put, you'll get your 12-month calendar for next year, and I'm going to put a little something in each one of them, so each one will be different, to showcase my love of my state and my county.
Yep. Well, you love this county too if you live here. And if you live here and you don't know this county, a great way to get to know it is to drive the back roads and stop at Jed's Maple, stop at the Alpaca Farm, stop at anything, and just appreciate what we have here. And if you don't like to drive the back roads, walk them. That's another gift you can have. And if you can't walk them, buy a calendar. Anyway, thanks so much for watching Life is Good. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for welcoming me here when I needed it most. And my best to Trish and Jacob.
Yep.
It's a great family, and
I always say it all starts with a conversation, and here we are having a conversation. So
thank you.
You're
it
very
was a
welcome.
good one. Anyway, Rick's always available for a chat, and thanks for watching. Mwah.
thank you.
Protect our veterans, love them, and have a great Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
They started going steady and bless my soul. He outbopped the buzzard and the Oreo. He rocks in the treetop all the day long, hopping and a bopping and a singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, tweet. Slow rockin' Robin, 'cause we're really gonna rock tonight.